Welcome back to the Tiny Room Hanger. This is Mike, and I'm coming at you with the JoyToy Mecha Depot weapons station. This is something a little bit outside of the norm, something I don't usually take a look at, but it does look good, and it's great for pretty much anything you want to use it for. It's better for smaller figures than the bigger figures. We're going to build this thing. We're going to look at it, comparisons with what all figures go on it, what good and what bad it has, and I did get this to Shozy. I have a link down below. You can get yours too. I think it's like 50 bucks. Let's talk about it. Coming up. Alright, so let's take a look at the box. And what it is really is just a slip cover. And the slip cover goes over a brown box, but there's some stuff on the back here so you can kind of see how it's supposed to be set up. Here's the brown box. Inside of this brown box, we do have some sort of a padding there, and it's split up into a few different segments and sections, which we're going to get into putting all this away, but put it away, put it together. So it sort of makes sense with all the components that are in there. So let's get right into building this thing. Okay, so here are all the parts I'm going to use to build this. These pieces here are little locking mechanisms for panels to lock together, and then with this here, this is stairs to build the stairs and lock them together. So we're going to do all that, but I really think we need to get started with the floor. Even though the instructions start in other places, I think we should start with the floor. Okay, so there are 8 of these floor pieces here, so 2 are going to be for the upper level and 6 for the lower level. So flip them over, and one thing that you're going to see is that you're going to connect these using this baggie of connector pieces. So right here you're going to notice there's a notch, and so connecting them using that notch and just getting them all connected, which might take a little bit of time, and then we're going to connect them to each other and make them strong and all that good stuff. We're going to use these connector pieces in some other places. Let me fast forward through this real quick. So it's all connected here, 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 and here. So we do have the floor built, and it's really important that you have the floor built and sort of together. Next, we're going to build this wall that holds the weapons. Now, looking at the back side of this, there are 2 holes that are further apart, or 2 tabs further apart, 2 tabs closer apart. The further apart ones plug into this, so we're going to plug that in there. Then we're going to plug a wall piece in, like so, and that snaps in. And you do the same thing with all these other ones, but with this particular one, we're going to use that piece back there. This one's actually going to be a support, so we're going to plug that in, and it's going to connect to it. It's going to be a support piece. It's going to work. It's going to be great. So next we're going to build this onto the railing here and plug that in to the holes. So there's 2 tabs at the top, 2 tabs at the bottom, and we're going to build all that into here. And then we're going to put the other side on. Same thing, just kind of plug it all in, and you're going to have a tab from the red piece, a tab from the yellowish, whitish piece. That's all going to tab in, and it takes a little bit of force, and you need to just be careful with doing it. It's really not that big of a deal. Except we're going to need to put the second layer on, and how we're going to do that here is we're going to put these pieces here, these poles. I'm sure there's a better word for it. Come on. When I was going to be an architect, I'm sure I would have learned that word. But anyway, we're going to plug all them in, and they are technically supports for the second floor, and they're decorative. So I'm going to take my time plugging it in and not force it and rush it on the camera. Be very careful. It is plastic. I mean, it's not made of metal or die cast or any of that kind of stuff. So you have to be careful with this stuff. So getting into this here, we are going to put this top piece on. So you got peg, 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 hole, 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 holes. So do all that you need to do. And again, be careful. And this is, of course, the first time I'm putting it together. It'll be the first time you're putting it together. So don't be too forceful. Don't break anything. It's just simple, basic stuff, but I'm taking my time. So next we're going to connect the top story, the second story, and one difference between those lower levels and the upper levels is that you want to put this kind of decorative top piece on, and it really only clips into this hole right here, and then this tab here. So line them all up, clip them together, and we'll come back and put them on the top. So I'm doing this off screen, and as you can see, I have to apply a bit of force. I just want to show you why I'm doing it off screen. It's a little harder to do in front of the camera. Now looking up top here, we're going to put these 3 tabs into those 3 holes, and it's a relatively simple ordeal, but again, you got to add some pressure to it, which can be scary, and there we go. So what you have together, you're going to see that it kind of isn't exactly certainly stable together. A couple of tricks that we can use here, and I'm going to use, is putting one of these pieces underneath here. There's a hole on the bottom and a hole right here, and that's going to kind of line them up a little bit better, and then you can have it lined up a much better. So that's a much easier trick right there. Next up, we're going to get into just setting these pieces in place. There's 8 of them. These actually will hold some rifles or something. So there is part of your weapons depot. I don't think they really clip in anywhere. They just sit in. So we're doing that, and we're going to move on to the next step. Next up, we're going to install the railing. So get your railing here. Put that one there. The short one's going to go here because the ladder is going to bump up to that. And there's the railing. And then the other long one goes right here. Again, we're going to get into this. You can configure this however you want. If you don't want your railing up top, you want it around the sides, you want multiple railings, you want no railings, you can configure it however you want. Next thing we're going to do is going to build this table, and we just tab that in. And I think the table is just going to be freestanding, more or less. I don't really know what the point of the table is, but it's something they include. Kind of goes right around there. And then we got to build the stairs. So in order to build the stairs, you've got to have 9 of these little stairs, and you have one larger platform piece. And so what we're going to do is just start connecting these pieces. And I kind of think if we put one piece in, and then at the top and the bottom, then we can connect the rest as we go. I've heard a couple different ways to do this, but I'm kind of thinking this might be the way to go for me, because it will all sort of stay together in a way. I don't know. I might like the other way where you put all the one and then you add the other, because it's actually a possibility too. Somebody said that's how you should do it, is put them all on one side and then just add them to the other. But this is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, quick, easy process, but I don't want to waste too much film time. So here it is, more or less fully constructed, and it's going to get just placed on here. Now, I see all the other sets that they made, and with all the other sets, it's kind of the same story. It just sits there. It doesn't peg in or anything. I guess if you really had the room or space, you could sort of use it to the side. There's a lot of different functionality you can use with this, but let's get into looking at this with some figures on it. Okay, so here it is put together with a bunch of figures on it, and I think it looks really good. We're going to point out kind of the good and the bad. Well, it's mostly good, so a lot of good things to say about this set, but let's get into looking at this. First thing I want to show you is I just put G.I. Joes on it, vintage Joes, and so the 3 3/4 inch and the larger 4-inch for what they're putting out right now with retro, what they put out with the 30th anniversary, 25th anniversary, those kinds of things. But I just used some vintage Joe weapons, and I think they're all Joe weapons, and hung them on the back. Now, I think they're actually compatible with some other toy line, so maybe ToyJoy makes some actual figures and stuff, but it's pretty cool looking. I like the way it looks, and I like the way the figures look on it. So there's a lot of posable options to this thing, a lot of display options. You can obviously move Duke around, move the table around, put Duke behind the table or something like that. You can have some guns on the table. I don't even know. Maybe these aren't even Joe guns. It's just some random stuff. Maybe you can have some plans or something on the table. You can see that the spirit gun sort of fits up there. So really you're only limited to your own imagination. And these guns also fit in there. You can go vertical, get vertical with the do. I did a few of those up top here, and they kind of fit just fine. It's just interesting. There's different play options, different display options, depending on what you want. So one of the things that I thought myself when I first pre-ordered this is what would it look like with maybe some 1/12 scale 6-inch figures, classified, whatever else out there, Black Series, Star Wars Black Series, Marvel Legends, all that kind of stuff. And I do feel like it is a bit too small. It's targeting the 3.75-inch figure, so it is a bit too small for that. But in case you're just wondering, this is what it looks like with some G.I. Joe classifieds on it. Another thing you could do with this is populate it with Legends figures. It does look good with Legends figures on it, and I just kind of left the other figures to mix in so you can see size comparison, kind of what it looks like compared to other things in there. But yeah, it would look good as a display, a background for Autobots, maybe Decepticons, maybe an Autobot-based Decepticons were invading. But yeah, looks good and scales well with Legends. So I hope you enjoyed this quick review of the JoyToy Mecha Depot Weapons Station. There are, I think, 5 of these sets that they've made so far. They are interconnectable. You can use these pieces to connect them to the other sets. It's really cool, really good for world building, and it's really great for a display. I like the weathered look to it and all that stuff. So if you want to get this, I've got a link to Josie in the description below. Like and subscribe. Teddy Hanger out.